Okay, okay. This video is for adults only. If you're not an adult, please exit immediately. And this is the second part to I guess a little part of this is going to be more of a series, but this is the second one about the same topic, the same type person that I have seen. That's a know-it-all type. That's how I see it. Now I see them also like their behaviors. I'm not diagnosing anybody, but their behaviors are somewhat like Narcissistic-Histrionic, a blend, and they don't all do the same thing. Now this one is about the same one as, like I said, the first video on the know-it-all, and I call her Miss Know-it-all. So, and I don't want to repeat the whole scene in this video, the whole of everything. But you can see the first part if you go to the end of this video, and there'll be a thumbnail. It'll be like a little rectangle that has, that is the first part. And or just go to the channel and find it there. But yeah. But since this is a new video, I'll give you a little bit of a recap. Now, this is something that it's a woman who's part of this big group that they get together whenever needed they're volunteers to do these boxes, like some would call them care packages for people who have been victims of whatever. I mean, it can be anything. And, usually they especially do it around Christmas, but other times of the year too, and they've been doing it for years. It's a small town, and all of them are from that small town. They're around the same age, and there's one woman who's from another local town, nearby town. Okay, so everybody does that. Everybody that's there, they're all women, and they've gotten to know one another over all this time. But like I said, volunteer, and there's a Miss Know-it-all, and she's just very obnoxious. She's very loud, both in dress, appearance, everything, and she gives out a lot of misinformation. But she knows everything, and she's very defensive about it, and so forth. Okay, in that other video, I pretty much ended the video, ended the whole discussion. But no, I want to do more videos using that as an example. But I also have two others. One is about a male, and one is about another female, but in different kinds of scenes. And remember, these are hypothetical, fictional. I think more people can understand, relate to, and I am going through something like this. So somewhat in the middle of what my last video, this kind of thing happened. Now, Ms. Know-it-all, like I said, she thinks she knows everything, and she's always right. Everybody else is always wrong if they go against her, or just even act like they are, give her a look, whatever. Well, in this, I mentioned that they put together care packages for whomever's, a victim of whatever. It could be weather, anything. So, or people. So this one, they say the scene is that they have two different care packages that they're making at the same time. Okay, and then they put them in the same bag. It goes to, say, like a male and a female of whatever, victim they are. Like it's a couple or something. So they have these two that they put together, and they put together in individual packages and then in a big box. Now there's no boss around. They've been doing it for years. They don't need to be watched. So they're given instructions on what to put in this package and what to put in that package. The boy, male or female, different things. And it should be quite obvious of what would be directed toward males and what directed toward females. But they're still given a list of what to put in each one. And now, Miss Know-it-all, they're giving this list, and Miss Know-it-all, she, the people have been working. She comes in late. She wants to make that grand entrance so everybody will notice her. And I mean, it's kind of hard not to because she's so loud, both in appearance and voice and laughter and all, like I said earlier. But so she comes in late, and she gets her stuff together to start doing, this kind of job. So, as usual, she just sits down and she starts talking away. Everybody can hear her. She's telling everybody all the new things she thought of. And, of course, she always thinks are right, even though it's often misinformation. And she's telling everybody what she knows, how the world works, what everybody should do, how they should behave, people and everything, just strangers even. And she tells the whole story of it. Like, her drive there is about 5 minutes, but she tells a story that of those 5-minute drives that last for, say, 30 minutes. She exaggerates. She's very, she adds all kinds of stuff into it to make it more interesting, perhaps, when it's really a rather dull, boring story. But she's often distracted. Yes, distracted because of what she's saying, how sure she is of it, and anybody goes against her, no, they're wrong. Well, then somebody had gone to the restroom or something and walked past her table where she is, and notices that she's doing them wrong. As she's walking by, she's seeing her putting them in the wrong boxes or something, doing it wrong. So instead of embarrassing her and saying it very loudly, this woman, she just whispers it to her that, no, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to put it in that. Well, oh, no, that is bad toward her. That's evil. Somebody told her she's wrong. And even though the woman whispered it so she wouldn't get embarrassed, no, Miss Know-It-All is going to loudly make her statement. Now, her statement isn't going to be about doing it wrong. No, she doesn't want to point, anybody to think she doesn't know it all. And her statement might not be then, but it might be right then and there. And it could be that she waits until that person goes and sits down and some more time's gone by, and then she'll say something like, well, people who do this, and it, like the way they dress, okay, here she is, kind of wild looking and all, but she'll make a comment saying that, oh, they're just, they're old before their time, and they just, they don't take care of themselves, something that she'll make an attack on that person, the person who walked by her, but she won't say her name, so won't point it that it's her, but, just make something negative about that person's appearance. Okay, here is the woman who's dressed kind of histrionic, and is very theatrical with it. I mean, just, you'd think she'd be on stage, wild makeup, wild hair, thick makeup, and all that. She's making fun of someone who is rather, just plain, just everyday average, your average Jane. But she's not saying that woman's name, and she waited long enough, you see. Okay, or like I said, she could do it when the woman's still standing there, and she might say something, well, I've seen you do them wrong. This was just an off day. I mean, usually they don't make excuses because they don't think they're wrong in the first place. So she will say something insulting, and it could be in a whisper to that woman. I've never known them to whisper much, unless they're doing it with their little flying monkeys or little cronies, when they'll do that like children in somewhat. But this is kind of, she might say it in a lower voice to point out that woman's flawed. She's going to turn it back around to where she's not wrong, the attention's not on that. She's not really saying she's right, but she turns it around to the person who told her is wrong about something. Okay, and very insulting. And now the reason that she would do this, because just being told she's wrong is what some call narcissistic injury. I call it narcissistic-histrionic injury, but and then she turns into a rage. Now, rage, narcissistic rage is what some call it. Now, rage doesn't have to be she's out screaming and yelling and all that. It could be just like I just mentioned. That's the rage. She's furious that somebody actually said she was being wrong about something. Because to them, they're never wrong. Never wrong. It's going to be somebody else's fault also. They might do that. Okay, now because, she feels like she's never wrong about anything, she might, like I just said, she's going to turn around on somebody else. She's going to play the victim. It's not going to be her fault. It was somebody else that caused it, such as saying, the person who laid this stuff out on the table did it wrong. They mixed the female and male stuff together instead of laying out on this side is the male and on that side is the female. She's going to find something where there's a list of what she puts, and it's kind of obvious what she would put in each packet. But she's going to blame them because she was doing it wrong. But remember, to her, she's not doing wrong. It's their fault. They laid it out wrong. Okay, as I mentioned last video about this, in this video, that some of the stuff she gives out is misinformation. Now let's say that she likes to read the internet or something, and on the internet sometimes what you read, it's wrong, it's not right. Not everything's right. I don't trust hardly any of it, what I see on the internet, unless it's through some university or newspaper, and then that can have a spin and all that. I'm not saying it's always, but one size doesn't fit all in any of this. But to her, she read something, just saw a title to it, and she had her own thought about it. But she uses it as fact. Okay, one article is fact to her. And it's some kind of, theory on if you do this, then that will happen, whatever. And she puts it out there as though it's her own. And then somebody says, where did you hear that? And, because she's not saying at first where she heard it or read it or whatever. And then she kind of admits to, oh, well, I saw an article online. And she acts as though that's fact. Whatever she sees online is going to be fact, like I just said, but it's not. And somebody else says, well, no, that's actually not true. And narcissistic injury, narcissistic rage, as some people call it, because she's being doubted. And so somebody there says, well, I'm going to look it up. Or the woman that said that's wrong, and she says, here's actual scientific evidence, proof, or whatever it is, that she got it from proof, and there's more than one, and all this stuff. And oh boy, that is, to this Miss Know-It-All, that is major, big time injury. And so she might go into a childish temper tantrum. Remember, not all children throw temper tantrums, but she throws one huge, and she defends it. She's right, and what they're reading is just, oh, that's just those biased people. They're biased, we don't trust what they say. She's going to go into great lengthy detail about why she's right and they're wrong. Now, something else I have seen with this is, say that the people say, well, which article did you read? And she looks it up and she finds it and she gives it, shows it to them, and they look it up and they read it on their own cell phones, whatever. And all of them stop and they say, well, except for her flying monkeys. Now, her flying monkeys just trust her no matter what. But they look it up and they read it and they say, well, that's not what it says either. Now remember, she just kind of skimmed, like the title, as far as the title. And you know how some titles are saying things that is kind of sarcasm or twist. And so they read it and they say, that's not what it's saying at all. Oh my goodness, she just had too much. Now she just might say, well, I have to go home or whatever. She's not going to quit this, because this is where she gets a lot of her attention. Negative, positive, doesn't matter. She's getting attention. Nowhere else would she be able to, at volunteer, they usually don't fire anybody. Unless they do something like illegal or, terribly bad. But, so she's getting all this attention she wants, and she thinks she need, in her mind, maybe she doesn't think at all about it, but she gets that attention, so she's not going to quit. So anyway, she just excuses herself and she goes home. But haven't we all known this type of person? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Leave a comment below if you have, and I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.